Hey, this is Mark at the Motor City Comic Con. I'm here with Chris Pascaretti. He's the owner-operator of Pascaretti Enterprises, who specializes in pinball games. Tell me, how did you get started doing this?
So my family's been doing this for about 30, 40 years. I started about 12 years ago. And so I used to live in Ferndale, and there was a local bar called Embrew that had a bunch of these games in there. And I started to get into league play, and then started to really like pinball. And it turns out I was able to sell these things through my company, and that's pretty much how we got started doing that stuff. So,
well, is there a top-selling game out there?
So right now it's this Godzilla that we have here. That's the number one game, I'd say, over the past couple of years. But I think Foo Fighters, which just came out a couple weeks ago, is going to replace that as the top. So we'll see, though.
What are the prices of these machines?
So they range anywhere between $7,000 to, on the high end, $13,000. So they are fairly expensive, but they're a little bit of an investment to the owners and collectors and stuff like that. So
do appreciate and value.
They hold their value. I don't know that they appreciate. During the pandemic, with the collector hobbies, all really, almost everything really appreciated as far as like cards and stuff like that. Pinballs did the same thing. Now we're starting to see the market kind of playing out a little bit, and so again, they're still holding their value, which is a good thing. So.
Is this the first show you've done for these games?
So we've been doing Comic-Con for about 7 or 8 years. We used to have a bigger arcade over on that side. Less pinball, more of an arcade feel. But I just didn't have the equipment anymore to do it. And so we just decided to go pinball heavy and bring in a couple other fan favorites like Guitar Hero, the Crane Machine, stuff like that. So
how many different pinball machines are there out there for sale?
So right now, we're a Stern Pinball distributor. Stern Pinball is our manufacturer. Right now, they make about 8 different titles. And so those are in production at various times throughout the year. And so, there are a couple other companies that run through there. But, there's a ton of different games. Obviously, we have 12 different titles here, but there are many, many more available. So.
Has the pinball machine business, has that waned because of home video and video games?
So we've actually seen a really big resurgence about 5 to 6 years ago. Some of it is just people getting screen fatigue. They're just getting sick of, playing the video games, whatever. They like to play something a little bit more physical, and that's what pinball is. You've got your fingers on the buttons. You're shooting basically a metal ball bearing around a play field made of plastic and wood. And, people really dig that stuff. Not only that, but Stern has been a little bit innovative in that they've been acquiring themed licenses of interest. We have Avengers here, we have Mandalorian, Stranger Things, all really hot, pop culture titles. And I think that's led to the popularity a little bit as well. So.
There's a resurgence of nostalgia for people.
Absolutely. So the age group that were in arcades in the 80s and 90s are now able to afford these machines and put them in their basements. And so that's, the other piece of it as well.
It's quite a novelty.
Absolutely. But, even, it's kind of interesting. Some of the top pinball players in the world are actually 18, 19, 20 years old. So that's kind of cool. So the younger generation is getting into that a little bit as well. So it's pretty neat.
Anyways, Chris, it was a pleasure speaking with you. We want to take up too much of your time. This is Mark, the Motor City Comic Con.